this program. But the question of the day comes from Aaron Rodgers. What are we doing? What are we doing? That's the question of the day. Packers right now just look awful, for lack of a better term. Just awful. This is an abysmal performance. For a while, I tweeted it out a little while ago. The Packers, they only had 98 yards of offense. They're now up to 163, as they basically had to go 4 and 5 wides because they're down 23-14. And the drops continue. A.J. Dillon with yet another one. Rodgers, a 4th and 1. A.J. Dillon, first of all, shotgun again, 4th and 1. A.J. Dillon in the backfield. And you throw what should have been a wide-out screen, and instead Sammy Watkins doesn't read the play properly. He takes off downfield. Between Josh Nijman's holding penalties, the fact that Allen Lazard cannot line up and cannot cover Mercedes Lewis on the line, so he ends up costing them. The penalties that have been consistent, it's been an abomination. And we talked during the week about this, that this goes back to the attention to detail, and a lot of this goes back to coaching. I don't know what happened to Matt LaFleur. I don't know why they're running things in a certain way, but man, oh man, oh man. It's just bad. I mean, it's bad from top to bottom. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is not relieved of blame. There's only so much you can do, but he's not absolved of it because he's had throws that have just looked terrible. Throws in the dirt, trying to get guys to, bend over and pick it up. Hey, granted, there have been some passes that he threw that only the receiver could catch. So you expect your guys to make a play. I said this earlier this week. This wide receiving core is a bunch of threes at best. At best. At best. Allen Lazard is nowhere near a 1. All this talk about a great and he can be a great route runner. But when he's got a 1 and a 2 alongside, and he's open, and he's getting the third end of the coverage, but this is an abomination. And I don't know if you just look at Matt LaFleur and go, you know what? This looks like you're losing the team. That's what this looks like. It looks like you're losing the team. When Rodgers is yelling at you, what are we doing? As if to say, what are you calling? Why are you calling this crap? So he doesn't believe in it, which means we all know what's happened in the past, right? What's all happened in the past? The last time we went through this scenario was Rodgers basically throwing the Mike McCarthy playbook out the window saying, guys, this guy's a moron. Let's just do what we do. And started calling his own play. So I don't know if it's to that point yet. The only legit threat you have on a consistent basis is what? Robert Tonyan? Aaron Jones out of the backfield. And then there's the muffed punt from Amari Rodgers, who continues again to prove he has no value. He's a body right now. That's it. He has no value. None. I mean, if you can't make it as a punt returner, first of all, you get the kickoff duties removed from you. And then you can't make it as a punt returner because you can't catch. It's awful. Aaron Rodgers just went about 15 yards into Aaron Jones, and the Packers have just scored. So that makes it now 23-20 with 3:26 remaining in the ball game. So we'll see if the Packers have a little fire left in them. By the way, beautiful pass from Aaron Rodgers on the run. This is what the Packers do best. Once Rodgers gets outside of the pocket, we talked about this earlier this week, he has to have a guy or two to go to where he can envision the spot being open and throw the football. And that was the epitome of that. No huddle, shotgun, get into a rhythm. They had that pass that was incomplete. They had that defensive pass interference right after that. And then Rodgers comes right back under center, throws deep after he scrambles off to the left and throws a touchdown, 21 yards. So Rodgers to Aaron Jones. And the point after will make it a 2-point game, which now really, if the Packers should lose this one by that same margin, you look at the Amari Rodgers muffed punt and you cringe because you right there, you gave them 3 points. I gave the defense credit because they had gone 3 and out. Then he muffs the punt. They have it again right there deep in Packer territory. Then the Packers defensively held again and held them to just a field goal. But you lose to this team, and this is beyond disappointing. 877-867-1670 if you want to hit us up, 877-867-1670. That's the phone number. You want to find us over on Twitter, you can, @Bill_Michaels, @Bill_Michaels. And you can also hit us up over there on Facebook. You can watch the program live, too, on Facebook. Simply facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can find us over on YouTube. Bill Michaels Show on YouTube. Just go there. Appreciate it if you subscribe to it. And that way when it pops on, it'll pop up on your phone. Also, you can find us on Twitch TV, another great way to watch us on your mobile device. And if you want to follow us over on Twitter, again, you can find us there as well. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Scott says, in the answer of what are we doing? He said, we're taking a road trip back to 1985, which was not a great place if you were a Green Bay Packers fan from long ago. Man. Nick is hanging in there. He said, give us one stop. We're one score away. This one's from Jerry. He says, turn out the lights. The party's over. Tyler wants to know what's going on with his team. Doug says bad haircut equals bad offense. This offense is trying too hard to be something that they aren't. I would take it a step further, saying they are calling plays for a team that no longer exists. They don't have 3 and 4 and 5 wides that are all 1s and 2s that have the capability to get downfield consistently. And you know, you don't have a Tyreek Hill, you don't have a Jamar Chase, you don't have a Devontae Adams for that matter. You don't have a Chris Godwin. You don't have any of these guys. You don't have anybody even close to that. Sammy Watkins on that pass interference that wasn't. I tweeted out, I said it kind of looked like he gave up. But then again, I went back and looked at the play, and he didn't give up. He gave up because he wasn't anywhere near the football. He probably didn't want to pull a hammy again. This one's from Steve, who says we need to do better. Ken says can't wait for it. We're going to check the tape. Matt LaFleur will be red China, won't have any answers. That's as predictable as the sun rising. We continue on with everybody on the Bud Light live stream. Thanks for chiming in. What the hell is going on out there from Vince Lombardi? What an absolute train wreck. Lloyd says, and the Packers coaches this week wearing red China shirts to the post-game pressers. I'm sure, absolutely. Jamie says this is by far the worst Rodgers has ever had, wide receiving core wise, and the worst in the NFL, not even close. It's it was funny because during half, I got a question posed to me, and I think it came from, honestly, I can't say that this person, came up with this or something, because I think that was what they were talking about on the Fox broadcast at half is what would you do to fix this team? If there was one thing you could point to fix this team, what would it be? What would it be? I'd ask for 10 more ways to fix this team. If you're asking me for like one wish, you can look at a team that's playing undisciplined football, which is the reason for the penalties. Also, you can look at this team and say, if I could fix one thing, the wide receiving core is completely inept. You have got a complete mishandling and misuse of play calling at this point. Some of it is dictated by down and distance. When you keep shooting yourself in the foot and you keep starting out on a first down play that looks pretty good or a second down play that looks pretty good, and you add a penalty on top of it, and then you have to take it 10 yards back. And instead of being a 2nd and 4 or a 3rd and 3, all of a sudden you're looking at a 3rd and 13, a 2nd and 20. When you continually start in the hole like that, you're never going to be able to consistently dig out of that. And that's the reason the play calling gets kind of whacked, you know? William says, I get the fact that it's probably never done, but what would it take to get a number one like a DK Metcalf? There's Chase Claypool, there's DK Metcalf, there's many names being kicked around right now that could possibly be on the market. If indeed, I'll tell you this though. I don't know if I'm Pete Carroll, I want to give up DK Metcalf. That team's at least hanging in there. They're showing a little bit of fight and moxie. You know? Packers aren't doing that. Those teams are, I mean, the Seahawks are sitting at 3-3, a team that everybody pretty much left for dead. We were thinking, boy, they'd be lucky to get one win. And look at where they're at, taking on a 4-2 Chargers team later on this afternoon. Actually, that thing's probably going to start here in about 15 minutes. Some action around the rest of the National Football League, by the way. Cincinnati 35-17 over the Falcons, but they lose Jamar Chase in the process. He left the game, and not quite sure what his problem is going to be. They saw him pull up on a deep pass. They don't know if he pulled a hammy or something to the effect, but that could be a big loss for Cincinnati. Panthers 21-3. You talk about a team that is right now in flux. That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Holy mackerel. They put up 3 points today. 3. That was it. You talk about a bad performance. Holy moly. 32 of 49. Tom Brady was today. 290 yards. He got sacked just once. He was chased around a little bit. Quarterback rating of 81.2. Mike Evans, 9 catches, 96 yards. Chris Godwin, 7 catches, 43 yards today. Leonard Fournette, 8 carries, 19 yards. Less than 2.5 yards a carry. Rondell White, 6 carries, 24 yards, 4 yards a carry. They're having the same problems really that the Packers are having, and the offensive line is just not that good. And they're putting all the pressure on that defense, and that defense, while it's not giving up 35, 40 points a game, but right now you don't even need to. If you're giving up 16, 17 a game, the game's in question. Same with the Green Bay Packers. The Commanders right now have 23 more plays run than Green Bay does. I mean, that's like unforgivable right now. It's just awful. So I don't know how else to put it, but thanks to everybody for chiming in and hitting us up over in the Bud Light live stream. As soon as the game's over, we're going to hear from inside the locker room. We're going to get comments from Matt LaFleur. We're going to get comments from Aaron Rodgers, which we would believe to be rather interesting because Rodgers looked extremely frustrated. Right now, Washington, 345 total yards to only 189 by the Green Bay Packers. 35-17 time of possession versus 22-30 right now. Taylor Heineke, 19 of 32, 188 yards, a couple of touchdowns, had the 1 pick six by Devondre Campbell. And remember, this offense, while there's 21 points on the board, 7 of those belong to the defense. Think about that. This offense only able to muster 14 points against a rather, what many of us thought to be inept Washington Commanders team. So, yeah, it has not been a good day by any stretch of the imagination. And long 3rd and 9, Packers just gave it up. And we are now creeping in on the 2-minute warning. So it's 1st and 10 for Washington as the Packers defense now in the most crucial of situations cannot get off the field. And one of the biggest issues today, right now, Washington, they are 6 of 14 on 3rd down. The defense just not getting off the field. In the biggest moments with the most pressure, and underneath gets by McLaurin, gets Jair Alexander, and they converted the 3rd down. And they are feeling it, and the Packers are not. This is a horrific performance, and this might be the beginning of the end of runs in the postseason. I don't even think we can go to the Jim Mora playoffs comments yet because it's just, I don't even think it should be talked about. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and when we do, we'll open up the phone calls. We'll start to get your thoughts. We're sitting just about the 2-minute warning right now as the Green Bay Packers trying to figure out some way defensively to give the ball back to a rather inept offense. And this will be the scenario that we've talked about all season where you're going to miss big-time playmakers when you need them to step up the most, and all you have is the pass. That's it. That's where you're at right now. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show. And today is a rough day. If you want to chime in, feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. More coming up after this.
Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The Green and Gold postgame show brought to you by our good friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network, and your Green and Gold postgame show, your free zone to vent, because I assume today is going to be a lot of venting as the Packers, they wind it down. They're trying to prevent a first down opportunity for the Washington Commanders. The clock is ticking, and this is it. Fourth down coming up. So we'll see if the Packers are able to stay or get off the field, I should say, and get it back to the offense. Oh, by the way, Packers, no timeouts remaining. Par for the course for a team that can't get out of its own way. So there you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. By the way, some Jay Sternberger, not that he really means too much to the organization, but he tweeted out, I can't believe the Packers didn't draft McLaurin. Right? I got it. Be a nice get offensively if you could do that. So they let it wind down to 27 seconds, and now we'll see what happens as Washington calls a timeout. So we'll let you know. Got a lot of people chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream. Feel free if you want to give us a call. Phone lines are wide open because this one's just as ugly gets. Just a pathetic 20 unanswered points defense. Just can't get off the field on third down. Stupid penalties at crucial times. This one's from Mike, who says, let's just be honest. They're not very good. Bill says, I'm not a fire everyone guy, but Matt LaFleur needs to go. He's lost this team and gets out coached in the biggest games. And this isn't even a big game. This is just a game you needed to have to kind of put the train back in the tracks. Dean says, LaFleur has 39 wins in 3 seasons. He's not going anywhere. Come on. I don't think so. I don't think he is. Scott says, we gamble with Rodgers, and we are going to pay for it in a few years. Maybe time to realize how bad the new offensive coordinator is with no identity. The administration has put this team in a bad position with picking up no help on the offense. Watkins is horrible. And then Isaac says, Charles says fire capers. Isaac says too much passing. Defense loves too much passing. Defense love LaFleur. He pulls that run and gives the defense a chance to catch their breath all the time. The GM is mostly to blame, says Frank, and others are saying you got to watch the tape. So there you have it. 877-867-1670. Let's hit the phone calls. Let's go to Gerard, our buddy Gerard, listening to us in Delaware. Gerard, this is about as ugly gets, man.
Well, this gives them a good excuse not to make any trades.
Right?
And this fits perfectly with what they want to do anyway. But anyway, Bill, this reminds me of the 75 team when they first got John Hadel. They gave up all those draft picks. They had nothing to surround them with, and they were totally dysfunctional. And it also reminds me of McCarthy's last year. It really did.
Yes.
Because you could see the way Rodgers is behaving on the field. They're totally dysfunctional in every area of the game.
Right.
And I think Johnson said after Rodgers fumbled the punt, that just turned the whole game around.
It did.
The momentum of the game, even though, it did. But this is a team, you can't make mistakes. Their defense doesn't stop the run good enough in crucial situations. They give up big passes. Alexander had a terrible game today. He dropped the pick. Douglas dropped the pick. And then he gave up the big pass play with 2 minutes to go. And they're actually going to win this game, Green Bay.
I don't think so. I'm watching what I would consider to be the Katzenjammer kids.
If they had a timeout, they could have did something. But of course, this is the way they roll this year. Yeah. Like I said, there's nothing that can be done anymore because they're so dysfunctional.
Yeah,
it's just a joke, and I'm sick of it, Bill. You know what I mean? Because we're going to be told more nonsense by LaFleur and everybody else on that team.
This was a garbage performance by a garbage team. That's what this is.
Rodgers said it all. Rodgers said it all when he was walking off the field that one play. What the hell are we?
What are we doing?
Are we doing?
Right.
Yeah. What are we doing? And that's what we've been saying for how many weeks? What are they doing?
Right.
So
completely agree, man.
Like I said, take care.
All right, bud. Talk to you soon. There you go, Gerard. Gerard is just as frustrated as anybody.
I'm not sure, Bill. I wish I had the answer there.
Right? There is no answer. Play calling sucks. Matt LaFleur, I don't know what the team looks like inside a locker room. I don't know who has and hasn't tuned out LaFleur, who hasn't lost a locker room. The perception is it's heading in that direction. It just looks, now, I've always said, losing makes you look lethargic. And it's the truth. It does. Losing makes you look lethargic. So that I completely get. But this is off the rails. We've never, I shouldn't say never. What I will say is, I agree with Gerard, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, this reminds me of when McCarthy got fired, where it was just lackluster and bad. This team is now 3-4 on the season. Green Bay knocked off 23-21. They get beat by the Washington Commanders. Commanders go with their third win of the season, now to 3-4. Packers are 3-4. And Washington is the better of the two teams. Something you never thought we would say. Now, it's. By the way, today, for those that are asking, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon today combined 12 carries. Combined 8 carries for Aaron Jones, 23 total yards. A.J. Dillon 4 carries, 15 yards. That's it. 4th and 1. A.J. Dillon in the shotgun backfield, and they throw the ball. It's probably time to put the heat on Matt LaFleur to say, why? Why do you have Aaron Jones out there? Is what, a decoy? Because at 4th and 1, you don't use him. He's supposed to be your plow horse, and you don't use him. You don't have your most dynamic weapon in Aaron Jones on the field. So what are you doing? What's the philosophy? Please explain it to us and Packers fans what your philosophy is. Now, he can say, you know what? Had Sammy Watkins not completely whiffed on the block, absolutely, that play probably would have worked. We could say that. But you keep talking about committing to the run game, and I give up. You're so full of crap. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Phone line still wide open. If you want to shoot it to us, hit us up. Jeremy over on the Bud Light live stream watching on YouTube says LaFleur is showing how much of a coach he really is without Nathaniel Hackett and Luke Getsy when they left this offseason. What is that? JMA says, how can you regress so severely after the past couple of years? Rick says, this is just bad. Marty hits us up on YouTube, says, hey, bring on the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. Andrew, this team blows. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, says Ricky. Yeah, I agree. It's just all bad. This was from Mario hitting us up email-wise. You want to drop us an email, you can do that too. thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That's thebillmichaels@gmail.com, saying, I don't understand how Matt LaFleur stands in front of us each week and says we need to commit to the run and then never does. A couple of times Aaron Jones gets stymied, and then all of a sudden you can't run the football anymore. I understand down and distance will dictate that, but Matt LaFleur is nothing more than a puppet liar at this point, and he's lost his brain trust when they went to other teams. Now Matt LaFleur is completely exposed, and even his good hair will not save him now. I am not one to sit around and say fire coaches, because I don't believe that it's solely the coaches. The execution needs to be much better, and this team, God knows, today was awful. But Matt LaFleur has clearly lost the ability to coach the details, and that is even more detrimental than bad play calling. Good email. 877-867-1670. Really good email. Packers lose today in ugly fashion to the Washington Commanders, 23-21. And offensively, they are only able to muster a whopping 14 points today. That's it. A whopping 14 points. Remember, it was a pick six by Devondre Campbell that actually put 7 on the board. And that was it. Nothing more. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Keep it coming. I'm going to keep hitting you up over on the Bud Light live stream. You got questions, you got comments. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. Phone lines right now wide open. Wide open. You know the number again, 877-867-1670. Drop us an email. Hit us up in many different facets. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Packers take it on the chin. Game comes to an end, 23-21. They lose in Washington. They are now 3-4. Same record, oddly enough, as the Commanders, who are also 3-4 on the season. The Packers have, for lack of a better term, an incredibly ugly game today. And something that there's no sugarcoating it. I'll tell you that. This was just a bad performance in a lot of different areas. Penalties killed this team today on bigger runs, bigger moments. The same crap that we saw last week against the Jets. Same thing. Finally rip off a couple of big plays, and it gets called back because of a holding penalty and such. You've got Aaron Rodgers, a couple of touchdowns. Not a bad day. 23 of 35, 194 yards. A couple of touchdowns. Statistically looks good, but still under 200 yards passing. Aaron Jones, your lead receiver, Aaron Jones out of the backfield, 9 catches. So 17 touches today for Aaron Jones, but only 8 carries, 9 catches, 53 yards, a couple of touchdowns for Aaron Jones. He's your weapon. A.J. Dillon on a 4th and 1, standing next to Aaron Rodgers, shotgun in the backfield. Don't use him. Instead, you throw it out to Romeo Doubs. Sammy Watkins misses a block. Everything goes to hell after that. A.J. Dillon, 4 carries, 15 yards today. Not a catch out of the backfield. Alan Lazard targeted 7 times, 6 catches, 55 yards. Robert Tonyan, 3 catches, 32 yards. Sammy Watkins today, a couple of catches, 36 yards. Amari Rodgers, a couple of catches for 14 yards. Samari Toure, 1 for 1 and 4 yards. And Romeo Doubs today with not 1, not 2, but 3. I think it was 3 or 2 or 3 drops and not a catch to his name. 4 targets and a couple of drops. That's not going to get it done. A.J. Dillon had a drop out of the backfield as well. So he was targeted at one point. But, yeah, what a bad day. Bad day. 877-867-1670. Let's get to the phone calls. Got a lot of those. Let's go to Jared listening to us in South Carolina. Jared, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, man, I just want to start off by saying all these Packer fans talking about Jordan Love, it needs to stop. Aaron Rodgers is making $50 million. You're not going to see Love play, so that's got to stop.
I agree.
You got to hold people accountable and talk about real solutions. And the real issues is that LaFleur is having the same plan. Amari is still returning punts. Linebackers are still playing off the ball in obvious run plays. Shotgun pass on 4th and 1. Jenkins played at right tackle forever. Newman played at right tackle forever. We can't stop backups giving up 10 to 15 play touchdown drives. LaFleur is just a bad coach, and we're seeing it. We had 6 minutes left. Pass. I don't want to see A.J. Dillon on the field going forward because Aaron Jones is just that good and he's underutilized. So a way to make sure you get Aaron Jones the ball, stop putting Dillon on the field. Yeah. I get that he's good, but he's not as good as Aaron Jones.
Nope,
and what we are seeing is ineptitude of Matt LaFleur. He is a cocky coach. Nobody holds him accountable. And we are now seeing that he has duped us all. Aaron Rodgers is not an MVP this year. All right.
No.
But explain to me how the Giants are winning. Explain to me how the Jets are winning. Because they are coached well and they put a good plan together.
They're winning in the trenches.
The same plan.
That's why they're kicking people's ass in the trenches. That's where it starts to me.
Absolutely. And LaFleur is going to give the same BS answers. It starts with me, blah, 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 blah. And then say, I'll answer your questions away from public scrutiny Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the rest of these reporters are just going to regurgitate this nonsense until it blows up. LaFleur is a bad coach. That's clearly what's happening. I understand that Rodgers seems like a prima donna and he's upset, but whose job is it to sit him down and to straighten this out? It's LaFleur's job. He is failing, and that is the bottom line.
Yeah, I appreciate the phone call, man. That's some passion and that's some correctness right there. The one thing, and Mike Clemens and I were talking about this is what you're going to hear is today you're going to hear the excuses. Then tomorrow you're going to get the presser. And then when you go to talk to a lot of the players who don't want to talk today, they're going to say, well, we've moved on. That was a bad game. We're moving on. And then you don't hear anything. Nobody is actually the questions come and they just deflect them. And I'm not saying it's their job to answer everything, but look, you're asking a fan base to continually buy your stock, to sell out your stadium, to be patient when they displace you for building giant monolith parking garages for the players. They ask you a lot to put up with a lot of stuff. And all you want is through those who are actually in that room, through us in the media, to say, we want some answers why this team is failing. This was supposed to be a defense that was going to be bolstered, not broken down. It was supposed to be aggressive, not backpedaling. It was supposed to be an offense with an offensive line with depth, not an offensive line that can't block and thus hold. This was supposed to be the addition of one wide receiver. It was going to be no big deal. Remember, Alan Lazard was really, really solid. And oh, by the way, we're 7-0 when we don't have Devontae, and pack that in. And we've got a great 1-2 punch in a run game, of which it's not, like the caller said, completely underutilized. You got a quarterback who gave you all the reasons not to in the beginning of the season. I don't like joint practices. I don't want to play in the preseason. I don't like, coming to the mini camps and the OTAs. Let Cobby coach him up. Then when I get there, I'll ride in and everything will be right. And then we'll be on the same page. Didn't see that. All of this is excuses to fail, not reasons to get better. And I agree with the caller, Nathaniel Hackett and Luke Getsy. The band is not back together. And it looks now like more and more that when you moved up Stenovich, Butkus takes over the line. The offensive line is nowhere near as good. The trickle down effect has begun, and it's not positive. It's just not positive. And I'm not hanging all of this on the defense, because the defense has given you moments where they could be decent if they had any kind of an offense. But this is one of the worst scoring offenses in the entire National Football League right now. You need to be the best defense in the entire league, not only in yards per game, but points per game and turnovers, if you're going to win with this craptastic defense or craptastic offense that they're putting on the field right now, being called by the head man hair gel. It just, that's it. 877-867-1670. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Andy. Andy, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, Bill, how you doing? It just seems apparent to me that Aaron just does not give a crap anymore. You see the way he moves when he's, waiting for the snap, and there's no expression whatsoever on his face. He gets to the sideline. He just sits on the bench, talks to Matt LaFleur, and that's about it. And, we all gave Tom Brady crap when he went over and yelled at his offensive line, but where is that fire when it comes to Aaron? There's no conversation. He's got these receivers he needs to build up. He's got an offensive line that's struggling. He just sits on the bench the whole time. And it's so frustrating that it just seems that he does not communicate with anybody else but the coaches.
I agree with you. First and foremost, you've never seen fire out of Rodgers. He's never been that guy, and body language wise is certainly off. But then again, they've been criticizing his body language for a long time too. And in the last 2 years, he's won back-to-back MVP. So I don't put a ton of stock in that. What I do see is when he's looking to the sideline going, what the hell are we doing? Or what the F are we doing? He's now questioning the coach publicly and openly, saying, what are you calling? I'm running your plays, but this offense and this package that you're sending me sucks. This is not, it seems like there is now a growing schism between him and Matt LaFleur as the play caller.
Honestly, though, if you have this big concern, if you're rolling your eyes at receivers dropping the balls, they might be running, not timing the routes right, what have you, talk to them directly. You're dealing with a middleman here. And you have specific things you want them to do, go freaking talk to them.
Yep. No, I agree. That's the one thing you do not see. I appreciate the phone call. You very rarely see Rodgers walking the sidelines and the quarterbacks separate themselves. They go to a different side of the bench. They're at the end of the bench, and they sit down with Tom Clemens. They look at the Microsoft Surface for about a minute or two, and they'll point to a couple things, and then that's it. Usually Rodgers sits there, and then he stands up. He puts his ball cap on, towel around his neck, stands on the sideline, and holds the towel. And he watches the game. Sometimes you will see him talking with, usually it's a receiver that comes to him, but you will see him talking with someone. But other than that, I would love to see him going over and talking about blocking schemes, because right now, as much as you want to talk about the wide receivers and guys dropping passes and such and not giving Aaron Jones the ball, I'd love to see him talk more so about this team and the offensive line, trying to help these guys out to say, hey, look, this is what they're doing. This is where they're bringing the pressure. This is a guy that's dropping off. This is where they're stunting. This is where they're doing this and that, and work with those guys saying, hey, can you do it? If you can't, let me know. I got to go to a different direction. I got, whatever. It's something else. Because right now, maybe Bach is coaching him up. I have no idea. It just doesn't look good. 877-867-1670. Purple Lilac says, please stop defending A-Rod. Stop. His attitude is bad. He never interacts with the players. He has no more heart left. Because you don't know what's in his heart. That's the reason I don't criticize there. I don't go there. You don't know what a guy feels. When they're on the field, do you think they're trying to fail? I mean, realistically, do you think he's trying to fail? He may be to the point where he's just like, whatever, and just throwing it up. Yeah, I get that. But don't think that he's trying to fail or doesn't have heart, because the guy wants to win. They all want to win. I think right now it's what you're seeing is a complete level of frustration out of Aaron Rodgers because the play calling is just off. What's being thrown about is just off, and he doesn't have the weapons. He just flat out doesn't have the weapons. And we're now down to a week. We're a week away from the trade deadline. If this doesn't inspire Gutekunst to do something, I don't know what will. Or if they don't do anything, then the front office looks at it and goes, yeah, one player's not going to do anything for us, and this is a loss. This season's a loss, which will be a damn shame because you're giving up one final year of Aaron Rodgers just to say, yeah, we can't do anything. Because you're going to hold on to an unproven draft choice like grim death. A third rounder maybe, which you have not had any success in the third round, period, since taking over as a general manager of the Green Bay Packers. 877-867-1670. Find us. Phone lines open. I'll get to you. Got a lot of people chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream. Packers knocked off today. Ugly, ugly fashion. They get beat by the Washington Commanders 23-21. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show, and we're rocking it, man. Thanks to everybody watching over on the Bud Light live stream. Over 500 of you. Big time. It's a big day today, man. We're doing well. Talk to you in a bit. Stay tuned.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Commanders, both teams now sitting at 3-4 on the season. Packers now under 500, and it's been a long time since we've seen this Packers team this bad. It's been a long time. They fell to 3-4 for the first time since Mike McCarthy's rookie season in 2006. They've now lost 3 straight for the first time in the Matt LaFleur era, and the first time since 2019. But this is the first time they started 3-4, and that was Mike McCarthy's rookie season. Some good notes today. Obviously, Aaron Jones, a couple of touchdown catches. Devondre Campbell had the pick 6. Alan Lazard. They did basically nothing in the passing game. Lazard caught 6 passes, 55 yards. And for about 3.5 quarters, if I'm not mistaken, he was the only wide receiver with a catch. The only wideout that had a catch. And then you've got the rookie outside linebacker, Kingsley Ngabare. He had a sack for the second consecutive week. He also had a couple of tackles, 3 tackles, a couple of quarterback hits as well. Quay Walker had his most impactful game of the season, 13 tackles, a couple of quarterback hits. He got home a few times. Obviously, the mystery continues with David Bakhtiari. Everybody on the offensive line was playing either a different position or for the first time other than center Josh Myers. He was the only offensive starting lineman at the same spot. Otherwise, everybody was completely different and new today. The run defense only got worse. They've been allowing 135.2 yards per game. They also ranked 25th in yards allowed per carry. And today, Washington goes 168 yards on 38 carries, averaging 4.4 yards per carry. The D, they couldn't get off the field. 3:26 left to go in the ball game. They just couldn't get off the field. And then, obviously, a season low 38 rushing yards for the Packers. That's it. Yosh Nijman, a couple of holding penalties. Jair Alexander gave up Terry McLaurin's 37-yard touchdown in the third. Packers today had, 9 penalties for 69 yards. And then the ugly is just the passing offense. It's just terrible. Aaron Rodgers had just 48 passing yards in the first half and averaged only 3.3 yards per attempt. And then Amari Rodgers, the 2021 third-round draft pick, fumbled yet another punt for the second time in 3 weeks and continues to be a liability on this team. Just terrible. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up. We're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers coming up. Bad day at the office for just about everybody involved. You know? Ryan says Jair got smoked all day. Not every play all day, but didn't have a good day. I'll agree with that. And part of it is the pressure on Heineke. And I still can't answer me this. Why do you not just get after him? Why do you just not get after him? Officially, he was sacked once today. Once. That was Ngabare. Quay Walker, 13 tackles, couple of quarterback hurries. Did have a pass defended today, too, as well. So not a bad day at the office for Quay Walker, at least a little bit better. Devondre Campbell, he had 3 tackles for loss. He also had a quarterback. They had, they pressured the quarterback 9 times today, the Packers did. So it wasn't all breakdown, but it was the fact that you couldn't get off the field, and they dominated you. In time of possession, 37:07 to 22:53. They had the ball for an entire quarter more than you did. They had the ball for an entire quarter more than you. 364 total yards to only 232. The Packers, by the way, today on third down were 0 for 6 on fourth down, 0 for 1. 0 for 7 on third and fourth down today. 0.00%. for the Green Bay Packers. Defensively, they gave up 43.8%. Not going to get it done. Maury Rodgers, terrible and a joke. Heineke bought time with his legs today. Hard for Jair to cover for 7 seconds. I agree with. Aaron and Matt need to hit the what is it? Hokkaido? Oh, the hookah? All right. This is from Jason, who says that each and every day is another day of excuses coming out of Matt LaFleur's grill. Time to move on. This one's from William, who says, let's see Jordan Love. Let this team find an identity besides stale passing attempts followed by pouting and finger pointing. You're not at this point in time, if you're going to say I'm putting Jordan Love in, you're ending the Aaron Rodgers era. Okay, that's first and foremost. So you're cutting it off right now. And do you think it's going to be better? That's what's so mind-boggling. Do you think it's going to be better? Joe Barry special today. Mr. Passive at his finest, especially on 3rd and 11, soft defenses. Yeah, they had that twice today. They had a 3rd and 8. And I have no idea why they ran such a soft zone, because you had coverage up front in the front zone and then the safeties over the top, but the safeties were playing 15 yards back. So when you handed the receiver off on a crossing pattern, I shouldn't say crossing, it was actually ended up being an out pattern, but they were 7 to 8 yards beyond the sticks. When you came out of zone, I didn't understand at all. And, again, we're probably going to hear a lot about, communication. But at what point do you say, you know what? And Jimmy Johnson brought this up in the pregame, and I thought this was really, really good. And he was talking with Michael Strahan about the simplification thing. You're not simplifying anything. In other words, you're calling the coach out because he doesn't have the ability to teach whatever's going on. Now, Rodgers is supposed to be the coach on the field, so I'm not giving him a pass either. He can't sit back and fold his arms and go, well, I'm smarter than everybody, so I don't have to learn this, because you got to work with everybody. And I don't know what he does or doesn't do behind closed doors when it comes to stuff like that in meeting rooms. But if these guys aren't getting it, that's not on the guys. That's on the coaches. If you can't get guys to understand it, that's on you. The word coach means helping those to get better, putting them in positions to be success, and teaching. That's what good coaches do. They communicate. 1 hour down, another one yet to go. Coming up, we got Matt LaFleur. Coming up, we got Aaron Rodgers. Coming up, we got Mike Clemens. Locker room chatter. We got a whole bunch. Thanks to everybody. We're only a minute and a half away from coming right back, so don't you go anywhere. Stay tuned. Packers get knocked off today, get smoked today. Not smoked in the blown out sense, but smoked by a bad team, for lack of a better term. 23-21, they get beat by the Washington Commanders. Man. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. A lot more. The Green and Gold postgame show. We continue on. 1 hour down, 1 to go. We'll be back right after this.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
All business owners want the same thing, to make their business succeed. At Rural Mutual, they help that happen. As the third largest writer of commercial business in Wisconsin, they take the time to learn your business so they can properly protect you. Call your local agent today or visit ruralmutual.com.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Blue 58, go! Green 18, Green 99, touch!
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
For the first time in the Matt LaFleur era, and for the first time since 2019, the Packers have lost 3 games in a row. Washington dropped a 20 on them, held off the Packers' late rally, and ended up beating them 23-21. The Packers fall to 3-4 for the first time since Mike McCarthy's rookie season in 2006. Welcome back. The Green and Gold postgame show. We continue on. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number. Again, 877-867-1670. You can also find us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. Follow there at Bill_Michaels. You can also follow our producer, Ben Kenny, at Ben Z. Kenny, who is giddy right now because the Philadelphia Phillies are 1 win away from heading off to a World Series. And Ben, at least that's the bright spot of your day thus far, correct?
Your timing is probably the worst it's ever been, Bill.
Did they just Padres just went on top 3-2.
There is a monsoon going on. Major League Baseball is not calling a rain delay. We're wondering if it's fixed to extend the series, but I don't know. It's been a day.
All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't last long, and then your Phillies are able to overcome and head off to a World Series. Meanwhile, you got the Yankees and the Astros coming up tonight. Houston leads this series, pounding the baseball. 3-0 as they're back in the Bronx tonight. Yankees in also a do-or-die situation, same as the Padres in today's contest. In the meantime, the Packers, they just look terrible. So are you ready? Are you ready? Right now, we go to whatever the excuse makers may be, live via Red China. Matt LaFleur talking to the media. Let's take a listen.
Well, first off, you got to give Washington a ton of credit. They battled. They played better than us today, and they came out on top. And I know our guys are extremely disappointed. I don't think anybody thought we'd be in the spot that we're in right now. And we're going to find out what we're made of in terms of just how we attack Monday, how we attack Tuesday, Wednesday, and every day in practice. I do believe that we've got the right kind of guys that will continue to battle. I thought we, battled to the final play. So I was proud of the effort there. It's just, we got to coach better. We got to play better. We got to execute better. It's not good enough. And we had some uncharacteristic mistakes, a lot of penalties. It put us in some bad situations. It took away and negated some big time plays. But it is what it is. And, you got to give Washington a lot of credit.
Do you guys just need to get some down the field stuff to open up things for everything else?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think if we knew what the answer was right now, we wouldn't be standing here. So, it's whatever it is right now, what we're putting out there, what I'm calling, it ain't good enough. So, it's a tough pill to swallow, and we got to be better.
What do you think it's going to take to get Aaron playing like he did the last couple of years?
Well, I think it takes everybody. It takes everybody around him. You got to have the protection in front of you to be able to hold up. You got to have the guys making plays too. I feel like we had a ton of drops. We had a lot of penalties. It put us back behind the sticks. And those are tough situations to climb out of. Typically, I think a lot of times when you have a penalty that sets you back, it's hard to convert. And, I don't know. We got to do something. We got to look at everything and see what we're doing and the situations we're putting our guys in. We got to play smarter too. We got to play smarter and not put ourselves in a situation where we can get called for holding or I think we had an illegal formation that you rarely see. But we got to be more disciplined and mindful of what we're doing on each individual play, because right now it's not good enough.
Did they blitz you at all? And it didn't look like it. And
No.
What does that tell you?
I don't know. I don't know what that tells us. No, they didn't. They played soft and are going to try to let us move, think and dunk down the field. There was a lot of two shell playing soft. And, we still couldn't move the football. So, it's just whatever we're doing offensively, it's not good enough.
You said you could still find out what you guys are made of. You probably could have said that after the Jets game and how you guys approached this week. How concerning is it then that today could be an indication of what you guys actually are made of? Or do you not think that's the case?
I don't think that's the case. I think I don't see anybody quitting out there. You know what I mean? Even when it looks bleak, our guys are still, you can see it on the last play of the game. They're still trying to find a way to get the ball in the end zone. And I felt it on defense as well. They had a 3rd and 3 situation and we got the stop. Certainly they made a really nice play right before the 2-minute warning where they hit, was it Samuel or McLaurin on our sideline? And, you got to give them credit. They made some tight plays and did enough to come out on top.
That's good. Thank you.
Nobody says, Coach, why are you on 4th and 1 going shotgun and throwing the ball? What is A.J. Dillon's role? Or did you just not believe in the offensive line where every offensive lineman short of your center is playing a different position? Maybe that could be a legitimate reason that he didn't feel comfortable in running the football. I have no idea, but the question was not asked. I know the question about shotgun was asked this week, and it was met with that's something we're looking at. And, sometimes he sees the field better if we give Aaron Rodgers more opportunity. But it's crap. It's a crap answer. And when he keeps saying, I don't know. It's, what do you mean you don't know? You're the head coach. You sound as lost as most fans, and you're the head coach of this franchise. You better know. You better know what's going on. 877-867-1670, your thoughts on Matt LaFleur and what he had to say. Phone lines wide open. Wide open. There is some that is very legit. Some things he says, I completely understand. And philosophically speaking, I can get it, but he sounds as lost as anybody. This is Brian said, at what point do we start calling these uncharacteristic penalties and drops? When do we call them the norm? And he said, oh, by the way, newsflash, we know this team is made of cotton. I give LaFleur credit in the sense the team kept fighting. He's right. They kept fighting. They gave you a pause to say, hey, wait a minute. They could possibly come back and win this game. But it is the ineptitude that gets them from point A to point B and causes series like this where you're looking down the barrel of a gun when you don't have any weapons. You don't have any bullets in a gun. Right? You waste timeouts consistently. You really don't have downfield weapons. What weapons you do have are mediocre at best. You won't give it to the guy consistently that is your best weapon. Your offensive line is a jumbled mess right now. Your quarterback is frustrated, and you're putting all the pressure on a defense that's not bad, but yet is run by a cotton ball of an idiot. I will say that in Joe Barry's defense, it wasn't soft all day. They rushed the quarterback. They hit him, 1 sack, 9 hits. That's getting after the quarterback. They did bring different pressures today. It wasn't crazy exotic looks. It wasn't corner off the edge or anything like that, but they did bring different looks today. I appreciated that. But when you've needed this team the most, this defense the most, that's when they've given up the points. They couldn't get off the field on third down today. They've been pretty good at that for the most part throughout the season. They were terrible today. And an offense to the opposite side of the coin that did not have not one, mind you, third down conversion today. Not one. 877-867-1670. Alfredo says no Super Bowl for Green Bay, which at this point I'm not even thinking playoffs. Scott says hell yes, Bill. Dennis says that's what's so scary. If he doesn't know, then who the hell does? Team says, how are you surprised Bill LaFleur has been riding Aaron Rodgers' coattails? He is now exposed as the moron he truly is. He does sound lost. I'm not going to call him a moron. He sounds lost. And then, you're absolutely right when you talk about what is now uncharacteristic. Because the penalties and throughout the season, they've been pretty good at not racking up a ton of penalties, but the penalties mounted. The drops are mounting. You have a couple of those plays today. You extend a drive. A.J. Dillon had one. I think it was Sammy Watkins had one on a crossing pattern. You make the catch. Then again, there's a couple of balls that were thrown low. Romeo Doubs had one that was thrown at his feet today. Aaron Rodgers has not looked great. How much are they going to keep showing the thumb? I don't know. 877-867-1670. Let's go back to the phones. Talk to Nathan listening to us in Viroqua. Nathan, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, Bill. How about you?
Doing well. I wish we were better circumstances to be talking under, but I'm doing okay.
Well, I hear you there. It was good seeing you at Gassers a few weeks ago when you were in town. Watching the game today, I'm 35, so I didn't exactly have a chance to see the Packers in the 80s, I guess, thank God. But is this the way the offense is playing right now? Is it as bad as it was back then? And then I guess another question for you. You just mentioned Rodgers with the thumb issue. Is there maybe a little bit more to that causing a lot of the problems, especially with the low balls that we keep seeing Rodgers throw?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things just seem really off this year for Aaron Rodgers, and it can't just be that Devontae's not here this year, right? There's got to be more to it than that. Or am I and a bunch of other Packer fans just crazy, and this is just maybe the year that Rodgers completely has fallen off?
I don't think he's completely fallen off. I think that there's a lot of frustration. I think he doesn't trust the guys he's around. The drops are getting annoying, but I agree with you on the throws at the feet. I don't know if that's the thumb, because he hasn't necessarily had these laser passing zip throws all season long. You know what I mean? This has been something that we've seen him throw behind and down and such. And part of it is you think, well, is he putting it in only an area that maybe his guy can get it? So you kind of think about that as well. Is he that good to where he's only putting it in an area where his guy can get it? Well, if that's the case, then why are you throwing it at their feet or skipping one right into their ankles? That I agree with. There's something else there, and maybe he has had a regression. Maybe, not being a part of OTAs and mini camps and not sharpening your skills and not paying attention to things in the offseason. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. I agree, but he's not an MVP candidate right now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, even looking at the deep balls that he's thrown this year, I mean, they're 10 yards over guys' heads. I mean, I know Sammy Watkins appeared to maybe kind of give up on the play or slow up a little bit in the game today on the one that Rodgers threw to him, but it just seems like there's something that's not clicking for Aaron.
The one of Sammy Watkins, when he slowed up, I think Sammy Watkins looked at it and thought, there's no way I'm going to catch up to this. Sammy Watkins is not a fast guy to begin with. He's a guy that runs what, a 4.8, 4.9 or something like that. He's not a guy that's a 4.3 speed burner, but he does have technique.
Right.
He can at least get open, but he's not your downfield guy like that. That would be Lazard. That would be Christian Watson if he ever makes an appearance again. But yeah, that's not Sammy Watkins. They took a shot. Have you noticed their downfield shots? We don't even breathe heavy anymore. It used to be that there was always a shot because you were always had Jordy or James or Greg or Jermichael or somebody, Devontae, somebody was going to come down with it because you just always knew it was a 50-50 ball that they would get. Now it's like, it's
even
not
Jeff
going to be
Janis,
close.
right?
Even Jeff Janis, he pulled one down in Detroit. Yeah. So, at least somebody could go up and get a ball. You don't even have any faith in these guys at this point. Lazard every now and then, but for the most part, the rest of them, there's nothing there. There's no hope.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
Appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon. He drops off. You get on board. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to keep us on, please do so. Stay right where you're at. We're going to come back. We're also going to listen to Aaron Rodgers coming up here in just a few. Mike Clemens from the locker room. A lot of sound from inside the locker room as well. That's all coming up. Stay tuned. We got a lot of people on hold. I'll get back to the phone calls. For those of you over on the Bud Light live stream, stay right there. We got a lot of your comments coming in. I'll try to get to all of that as well. Packers take it on the chin in ugly fashion. They lose, I'm going to say this out loud, to the Washington Commanders, 23-21. Kick to the crotch. More to come right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
23-21, the Green Bay Packers beaten third straight time, this time at the hands of the Washington Commanders. Packers go to 3-4. Commanders sitting also at 3-4. Around the rest of the division, you've got the Lions. They got knocked off today by the Cowboys, and the Lions appear to be fading now after getting blanked by the New England Patriots and then the bye, and then they came out of the bye and just looked terrible against Dak Prescott, who had his return today, 24-6. They get beat. Vikings idle today. They had their bye week, and then the Bears and the Patriots coming up tomorrow night on Monday Night Football. So you've got the rest of the division kind of stale right now. Not a whole lot happening. The Packers had a shot at maybe gaining a little ground on the Vikings. They did not. 23-21. They lose to the Washington Commanders, and not a lot of answers. Let's do this. Let's see if because before I get back to the phone calls, and for those of you that are on hold right now, okay, stay right there. Got Dave listening to us in Utah. Got Greg and company. Hang in there. We'll get to you. I want you to take a listen to this and see what Aaron Rodgers has to say. This is Aaron Rodgers at the podium just moments ago.
Aaron, that last play, when the camera got your head dejected and you were looking down, what goes through your mind, and what do you pull from when things aren't going well throughout a game or through a season? With your experience in the NFL, what do you pull from in times like these?
Past, the success we've had in the past, confidence, plays that I've made, plays that we've made. Past.
Did you take your hand at halftime?
Yeah.
What was the reason?
A couple snaps kind of jammed it, so I wanted a little bit more support just on that knuckle.
You know,
No, actually, I felt a little better when it was taped up.
So can you guys win if you're not making a lot of plays outside the pocket? I know you still can, but can you do that enough to carry this thing?
I might need to do that a little bit more. I mean, I kind of had a mindset to maybe look to do that a little bit more. Didn't do it enough today, but it was a lot of two-show. We didn't run the ball particularly well. Didn't catch it particularly well, and I didn't really move a whole lot to extend plays until that last drive.
This week, nobody wants to put on bad tape. When are you going to watch the tape of this game, and what do you anticipate seeing?
Some bad tape. Yeah, some bad tape all around. I'll probably peek it tonight, just to have a heads up on what to expect tomorrow when we watch it again. I'll peek it tonight.
They it seemed like they didn't blitz at all. If that's right, what does that tell you?
I think you know what it tells you. They didn't need to. That's what they thought. They thought the rush could get home and they could cover it up on the back end.
What on third down for you guys today?
Execution of the details, small details. I mean, a lot of mental errors today. Now, we had some issues with guys getting hurt. Allen got banged up, and Sammy's was trying to keep Sammy to 20 to 25 plays. But yeah, we just made some silly execution mistakes.
And in the past, you've said relax as words for the team. This year, coming into the multiple consecutive losses under the LaFleur era, the first time this happened, what do you think needs to change for the team in order to bounce back from this consecutive loss?
We just got to play better, all of us. I think if we all look at the film, there's probably a number of plays in every phase that we could have done better. But I said it before, the margin of error is so tight. A couple calls don't necessarily go our way, and we don't execute at all on offense in certain situations. Simple things, we're behind the sticks, or penalties, or dropping balls, or not putting balls in the right spot. It's not winning football.
When you said run the table a few years ago, that seemed really plausible. Does it?
Did it so?
It did.
Should we rewind history, Pete, and look at what you said about it? What'd you say?
I couldn't tell you for sure. I'd have to go back and look, but it was at least plausible.
Plausible.
And I'm wondering if that feels not running the table, but righting the ship and getting the playoffs? Does that feel plausible right now?
Goddamn right it does. I'm not worried about this squad. In fact, this might be the best thing for us this week. Nobody's going to give us a chance. Going to Buffalo and Sunday Night Football, a chance to get exposed. Shoot, might be the best thing for us.
You think that's a widespread belief in the locker room? That's your belief. Is that a widespread belief in your locker room? Obviously, that's your belief. That you guys can get it turned around and no concern here about the squad.
I mean, it should be. Unless they don't think they're the right person for the job. I think I'm the right person for the job. So I'd have to ask them.
You said there was some mistakes, but what did you see in the Washington defense? Coach Ron Rivera said they keep getting better every week. What did you see in the overall Washington defense?
Yeah, I mean they got a good front. They got a lot of first round picks. They're solid on the back end, but they did nothing. They've been man coverage like I don't know, 1 or 2 times. It was all too high, some match, occasional drop down safety, but they didn't really do a whole lot. They got a good broad scheme, well coached between Ron and Jack, and got good players, but didn't have to do a lot.
Aaron, can you talk about on your side how your defensive folks did well today?
What's the question?
Today, your defense squad. What about how they? Your thoughts on the effort?
I mean, we had a pick 6. We had a forced fumble return for a touchdown. Got called back. We had another fumble that looked like a fumble. Thought they were, more aggressive around the football. We had some opportunities for sure. I mean, they definitely played well enough for us to win.
When you say you draw on the past per se to think you can turn it around, are you talking this season or past seasons? And is there anything from this season that you can draw on to say we can turn it around?
No, I felt like the question was in reference to maybe past seasons. So past seasons.
Does feel, I'm sorry. Does feel anything like 2016 last time you left Washington?
I hope so. I remember we played Philly on a Monday night, I believe. Next time. Kind of got things going again. So hope for the same juju this week.
And you got 33 the ball this week from the very start, all game, and it did result in much different offensive production as a team. Outside of him and Allen.
You guys going to keep asking about it?
All right. You got him. Well, I'm not asking that. Outside of him and Allen, do you feel much confidence in any other playmaker on this offense right now?
I mean, I think outside of those 2 guys, there's too many mental mistakes. And, I talked about simplification last week. I don't really know where to go when it comes to that. There has to be, something inside that has an accountability for performance where we're just having way too many detailed mistakes. It's just not winning football. When you're expecting, it could be a total wrong route, or it could be the wrong stem, or it could be the release. We're just not good enough to overcome some of those things right now. We have talent on our team for sure, but it has to consistently show up from all of us. Otherwise, why would we have any confidence in moving forward? We scored 14 points today. 7 in a 2-minute, 7 on a short field. Last week we scored 10 points. 3 in a 2-minute, 2 in a no, 10, 7 in a no huddle. It hasn't been winning football on offense.
2 more for him.
Aaron, what do you think of the changes on the lineup front, and how concerning is it that Dave had a knee pop up again?
Yeah, it's disappointing, and we all found out about probably the same time you guys did. That was the change that they went with. 2 guys that played together a lot on the left side, 2 guys that played together a lot on the right side, although they played together on the left side mostly. And then when Dave couldn't go, we adjusted to it and kind of changed a lot of things around to try and give Zach some help. But we're a better football team with 69s out there.
The ball to Amari here in the game, is that take an example of how you guys are close and he's not able to finish on this type of plays?
Just one play. There was probably 7 or 8 other passes that could have been caught for sure. But we, right now we got to have all of them because we're just not good enough to win without it.
Take care.
There you go. That was Aaron Rodgers talking after the game just a little while ago. Let's do this. We're going to step away and take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to everybody on hold. We'll get all your, as many as I can, comments in over on the Bud Light live stream as well as you're listening to the Green and Gold postgame show, getting your reactions. The Packers fall to the Washington Commanders. One of the things that I thought was interesting was that, Aaron Rodgers said we have talent on our team for sure, but it has to show up consistently, and it hasn't been winning football on offense. In other words, it's just not working. We got talent, but it shows up every now and then. And to win football games, it has to be there every day, every play, and it's not. Stay tuned. We got a lot more. The Green and Gold postgame show. It's all coming up. It's coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Packers get beat by the Washington Commanders. 23-21, some numbers for you. Packers 0 for 6 on third down. Could not convert. Their offensive plays, listen to this. The Commanders, 72 offensive plays to only 47 for the Green Bay Packers. Washington rushed for 166 yards. The Green Bay Packers, 38 on 12 carries. 38 yards on 12 carries. Oh, I tell you what, we got to look at the tape. Oh, that's unacceptable. They threw for about the same, 198 yards for the Commanders, 194 for the Packers. Packers penalized 9 times for 69 yards. And each team committed a turnover. Packers with 3 touchdowns, Washington with 2. And the Green Bay Packers at the end of the ball game, 0 timeouts remaining. Commanders still had 2 in their pocket. The Commanders were 3 for 4 via field goals. They had 1 doink. Packers didn't kick a field goal all day. And time of possession, 37:07 to 22:53. Damn near an entire quarter of the football game was held by Washington over the Packers. You're just not going to win that way. And Rodgers said it best. There's talent, but it's not consistent. And when he was asked, he said, hey, they didn't blitz you hardly at all today. He kind of smiled with that sheepish, I know as much as you know, and you're pointing out the obvious. And he looked at him and said, yeah, they didn't need to. In other words, they didn't get home. They didn't sack them today, but they put enough pressure up front with their 3- and 4-man fronts that they just filled the gaps, shut down the run, and you don't really need to blitz and put a ton of pressure on the quarterback when you don't have guys that get open. We covered them downfield. He said they ran too high. He said they ran man twice today. That's it. Yeah, we'll just run too high. We'll be good. No problem. Too high shells, no problem, because we're just handing guys off. They're not that good. They're not that good. In back-to-back weeks, you have basically had defenses say, don't worry about it. We'll get home with what we have up front. We don't have to run anything exotic because you know why? Your offense sucks. That's it. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers also alluded to the fact that, hey, the Buffalo Bills are on the docket next. He said, well, that may be the best thing for us because that's a team that everybody expects to end up in a Super Bowl. Here it is. Here it is. And now you see if you just take an ass whipping. 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up? Feel free to go ahead and do so. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's talk to Anthony listening to us in North Dakota. Anthony, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Just wish the score was better.
Yeah, it seems like there's no fire going on in our offense whatsoever. I'd like to see a jumbo package bring in Caleb Jones. In the preseason, he was pushing people 15 yards down the line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not going to hurt to put an extra offensive lineman in there once in a while and try to, run it down their throats.
Right.
Also, with no number one receiver, it's really hurting this offense. I mean, yeah, we got a lot of 2s and 3s, but it's just really being hurt by not having a number one receiver.
Right.
So hopefully Goody can do by the trade deadline. And then I'd like to see him pick up and sign Sheldon Richardson or Ndamukong Suh, give us some attitude on the defensive line, stop the run.
Yeah, they need something, and it would depend on if those guys are even, hanging out and in shape before you would look at something like that and what it would cost you before it's all said and done. Because right now, I think your focus is trying to find anything that's going to give you any kind of an offensive spark at this point.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much. Let me give you my input. You bet. Yep.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, too. Appreciate it. By the way, Caleb Jones on the non-football injury list. Non-football injury list, so he's not even available right now. But I like where you're going with it. Just wanted to be sure. Let's go. Let's do Dave from Utah listening to us. Dave, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Boy, man, I'd be a lot better had we won that game.
Right?
I think this is a failure on the front office. Look, I know everyone's saying that Aaron Rodgers' body language sucks, and I get that. But we knew who Aaron Rodgers was. And when he's feeling good about things, he's one of the best in the game. This is a failure of Murphy and Gutekunst and this idea that you can just let Devontae go, Scantling go, and, a couple other guys go, and then just fill in with rookies. This isn't working. When you saw Stafford go to LA, Brady go to Tampa, they outfitted their team with talent. And Rodgers is at the back end of his career, and we don't seem to have any desire to give him weapons around him. I think the reason the ball's in the dirt is because he doesn't trust his receivers. And I think this is an indictment on the philosophy of the front office. And until they get that fixed, I think we're going to continue to see this. We need to get aggressive. We need to surround our quarterback with weapons that he feels comfortable throwing to.
First of all, I agree with you. They need to find additional weapons. That's going to be their first search, and they've got a week now to do it as we creep up on the trade deadline. The other thing is play calling. I don't know if Matt LaFleur is even at this point, now that we know Nathaniel Hackett and Luke Getsy are no longer there and the play calling has been abysmal. Do you start to question whether or not Matt LaFleur should even be calling plays?
Hell yes, you start to question that. You start looking at Matt LaFleur, and yeah, we got to look at LaFleur and we got to ask, why are we not taking shots? I think it's because everybody knows that those young wide receivers are untested and so far have not delivered in clutch time.
Correct. I 100% agree, man. There is right now, like Aaron Rodgers stated, there's talent on this team, but it's not consistent. They're not doing anything dynamic. They don't have to bring exotic blitzes. They don't have to go man press on the outside and really get up against these guys. You don't have to, because there's no dynamicness and no threat to this offense right now at all. And the problem is Devontae's not walking through that door. There's nobody else that's even available walking through that door that's going to make this dramatic difference. To me, it starts up front. You got to get the offensive line solidified. You got to cut down on the penalties and all the stupid mistakes and the mislineup issues and all that crap. And go back like we had talked about last week. It's all fundamentals. Appreciate the phone call. It's all fundamentals. That's where you got to start, and then hope that things get better, because when you see holding penalties and guys out of place, guys not being able to get the job done, they're getting beat up front, they're hanging on to players, they're not lining up properly. Right now, it's a mess, and if LaFleur doesn't have the ability to coach, as we stated early, and get guys out of McCarthy went through this for years and gets the hell beat out of him for it. When you have a team that's penalized, when you have a team that's committing stupid penalties in the most inopportune times, all of that falls back to coaching. Why is LaFleur getting a pass on this? This is LaFleur's issue. It starts there. The whole other, discussion about why is this team the way it is and the roster is built the way it is, that's something we can talk about, at length for another day, because there's so many factors that went into where we're at today. But we all saw this coming. I think what we wanted to do was wear the green and gold, glasses, kind of keep ourselves shielded from a little bit, and hope that things would be better just because you have Aaron Rodgers. And now we've seen that he only has either so much will, so much want to, so much effort, and or so much ability to make this thing better. We're going to talk with Mike Clemens when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show from inside the locker room coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Okay, they hear all this stuff and they got to deal with it. I get that and I respect them for that because they're resilient. They come back. Everybody keeps wanting to say, I didn't want anything to do with Carson. Well, I'm the guy that pulled out the sheets of paper, that looked at the analytics, that watched the tape in the freaking when we were at Indianapolis. Okay, and that's what pisses me off because the young man doesn't deserve to have that all the time. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Those are the words of Ron Rivera talking about Carson Wentz. They've had a lot of consternation there in the nation's capital. In the meantime, their Commanders have now won another game, and the Green Bay Packers are the expense. And Mike Clemens now joining us. Mike, look, Rodgers talked about it. They didn't do much different or anything exotic to put pressure on Rodgers. They didn't get to him, but they moved him around in the pocket a little bit. And when you don't have to worry about exotic packages downfield to cover, it makes for a relatively easy day against an inept offense.
Bill, you just lost to a team that the NFL is trying to push out the owner, has the worst stadium in the league. Fans were able to walk up today and buy tickets if they wanted to for $40. They can't fill the stands at the place. Your number one quarterback, Carson Wentz, is out for several weeks now with the broken finger injury. And you got Taylor Heineke there with 1 week of practice trying to warm up and to play the Packers again. And you got a podium where the microphone doesn't work very well. I mean, that's how bad this place is. And Ron Rivera is talking about, hey, man, he went in there and he felt so good about his matchup against the Packers offensive line. All he had to do was line up Montez Sweat and 3 other guys and drop 7. And they only had 1 quarterback hit on Rodgers. Just keep Rodgers back there, keep his time clock going, give him no place to throw the ball to that average lot of receivers. And it worked. Here's Ron Rivera.
Well, I think one thing is we've been able to limit the explosives. That's something that has been haunting us a little bit. But I do think the pass rush, Aaron did some good things, got the ball out quick, but we were there. And when you force a guy of his ability to throw the ball quicker than he really wants to, I think that helps you on defense. I thought our guys were handling the run pretty well. They're a terrific running football team, and to be able to slow that down says a lot about what we did on defense.
Mike, everybody's talking about not even so much this game, but how this team looks and what's coming up on the horizon. And as the Buffalo Bills, how do you avoid a 4-game losing streak? And at this point, how do you not get embarrassed by a Bills team that just looks solid?
Yeah, it looks like the best in the NFL. And you've got a Packers team where after losing back-to-back games to underdogs, the Jets and the Giants, Matt LaFleur comes out and says, hey, we got to find a way to have a little bit more fun, have a little bit more swagger. And he was right about that. And they also decided after 7 weeks into the season, all right, let's change what we're doing on the offensive line. Instead of having Josh Nijman sitting on the bench when you actually believe in your heart he's your 4th or 5th best offensive lineman, let's go to this new plan. Let's make him the right tackle. Let's move Elton Jenkins, who seems to have struggled at right tackle, back to his old spot of left guard. Josh Myers, and you move John Runyon over from left guard to right guard. Sounds like a good plan. Then something happens to David Bakhtiari 48 hours before the game. Bakhtiari practiced every day last week as opposed to that plan they talked about a couple of weeks ago where he was going every other week. But he practiced every day, limited, wasn't going 100%, but he's played in some games where he had 70 snaps. Something happened. He was out there this morning with the trainers. They scratched him. They said, you're not going today. Aaron Rodgers says they found out about the same time that we did that Bakhtiari was not going to play. So they put in Zach Tom, a kid I talked about 2 days into training camp, how amazed I was how well he could play an outside tackle position like against a Rashawn Gary. So the rookie gets his first start in there. He had some snaps, I believe it was in the Vikings game. And, he's going up against some pretty good guys on that Redskins Commanders line. I know I'd do it. Wayne got me going on it today. But LaFleur, Bill, although he got a little bit better play again from the defense, you took another step back with the Amari Rodgers muffed punt, but ended up becoming another 3 points for Washington. But to me, it seems like his list even got longer today on the problems he's got to solve. And he was asked, how do you get this team now ready for Buffalo?
I don't know. We got to do something. We got to look at everything and see what we're doing and the situations we're putting our guys in. We got to play smarter too. We got to play smarter and not put ourselves in a situation where we can get called for holding or I think we had an illegal formation that you rarely see. But we got to be more disciplined and mindful of what we're doing on each individual play, because right now it's not good enough.
When he starts out that conversation saying, I don't know, if you don't know, who does? That's an amazing statement to me. I don't know. He sounds bewildered,
I would
Mike.
think before he goes before that press group, he's got to have some answers, because that's what he's got to tell his team
right
as well. So in the meantime, you've got Alan Lazard, who clearly right now is your best option at receiver. But earlier in the game, he gets rolled up on his ankles, tackled by 2 guys, and then later has a shoulder injury, so he ends up leaving the game. Kenny Clark had a left arm injury, was able to return. But Bakhtiari, we talked about with the knee. Rashawn Gary, your outside linebacker, concussion, had to leave the game in the second half. And Aaron Rodgers was asked, can you win a game right now without Alan Lazard and David Bakhtiari?
I mean, I think outside of those two guys, there's too many mental mistakes. And, I talked about simplification last week. I don't really know where to go when it comes to that. There has to be, something inside that has an accountability for performance, where we're just having way too many detailed mistakes. It's just not winning football. When you're expecting, it could be a total wrong route, or it could be a wrong stem, or it could be the release. We're just not good enough to overcome some of those things right now. We have talent on our team for sure, but it has to consistently show up from all of us. Otherwise, why would we have any confidence in moving forward? We scored 14 points today, 7 in a 2-minute, 7 on a short field. Last week we scored 10 points, 3 in a 2-minute, 2 in a no, 10, 7 in a no huddle. It hasn't been winning football on offense.
He's right, and I don't even know how. Right now, you just need a win.
Right, and so then Rodgers has said, "Look, a few years ago you talked about let's run the table. You could turn things around after having back-to-back losses. Do you still think you can do that in 2022?"
When you said run the table a few years ago, that seemed really plausible. I'm wondering if that feels not running the table, but righting the ship and getting the playoffs. Does that feel plausible right now?
Goddamn right it does. I'm not worried about this squad. In fact, this might be the best thing for us this week. Nobody's going to give us a chance. Going to Buffalo and Sunday Night Football, a chance to get exposed. Shoot, might be the best thing for us.
I don't know if that's the best thing, but, defensively speaking, I don't think they're terrible. Offensively, I don't think they have any answers.
Best receiver in that stadium today, Terry McLaurin,
Yeah.
on the other side of the field. And he catches that clutch third down to keep Aaron Rodgers and that offense off the field to try and make a comeback. And it was delivered by Taylor Heineke, who got the green light from his offensive coordinator, Scott Turner.
Yeah, man, it's cool. Scott believes in me, and that means a lot to me. And when I see Terry out there one-on-one, you pay that guy a lot of money, right? So let's give him a chance. He did a great job all game. He had, I think, 2 or 3 huge third down conversions in the second half, and you can just tell, there's a reason why we paid this guy. He's a really good player.
He said he knew as soon as the play call came in, it was coming to him. Did you know that, Sam?
Oh yeah.
Obviously, that relationship you had with your father growing up as a Packers fan, is there anything that you took away from this game as a game ball or anything as a memory? And what do you think your father would say beating the team that he used to cheer for?
Yeah, I kept my jersey for sure. Beating the Packers, that's something I need to train. And he's up there right now drinking a beer, having a good time. So I know he'd be proud of me, and this one was for him for sure.
Mike, good stuff. We will clean it all up again tomorrow, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it, pal. There you go, Mike Clemens. A lot of stuff from inside the locker room today. One more time before a crowd of 60,427 to see it in attendance at FedEx Field. It was the Washington Commanders 23, the Green Bay Packers 21. We'll talk about a lot about this coming up tomorrow on the program. Until then, time for